Our politically incorrect segment tonight, Al Gore got rich off his climate change scam, and now he wants even more power. That is what our next guest claims in his new book, detailing how Al Gore profited from his climate lobbying. As Bloomberg News reported, in the last personal finance report he filed as vice president, Gore disclosed on May 22, 2000, that the value of his assets totaled between $780,000 and $1.9 million. But by 2007, Gore's wealth had skyrocketed. By that point, he had a net worth well in excess of $100 million. And now reports indicate Gore wants to become the world's first carbon billionaire. So how can liberals idolize a man that is clearly using his government connections and our tax money for his own profit? With me now, author of The Politically Incorrect Guide to Climate Change, Marc Morano. Marc, hi, how are you?
Good, Liz. How you doing? Thanks
good.
for having me.
It's good to have you back. It's been too long. Marc, first of all, congratulations on your book,
Yes.
The Politically Incorrect Guide to Climate Change. Our viewers can go to any of the major
Thank you.
retailers, including Amazon, to find this book. Marc, one of the things that you argue in this book, I found this fascinating. You said global warming is not actually about science. What do you mean?
In the book, I detail how top United Nations officials openly talk about how climate policy isn't about the climate. They talk about how it's about wealth redistribution in the United Nations agenda. I feature former Senator Timothy Worth openly admitting that even if they're wrong on the science, we're doing the right thing by policy. And what is the policy? The UN climate chief says it very succinctly. We seek a centralized transformation that will make life on planet Earth very different. A centralized transformation led by the United Nations. I also go into the fact that there's a whole movement that believes capitalism is not compatible with a livable climate. So they are going for system change, not climate change. And that's what the whole book is. Actually, the heart of the book details that. You will be amazed at how this is not about the science. I actually showed that previous environmental scares had different science claims, overpopulation, resource scarcity, but the same solutions were proposed. Central planning, wealth redistribution, global governance. It doesn't matter. They just plugged and play. Global warming is the latest environmental scare into their solutions that are all the same going back 40 years.
That's absolutely fascinating. It is exactly what you call it. Then it's a climate change scam or a global warming scam. I found it particularly interesting, the part about Al Gore and how he's made money and how you say he knows what he's doing,
Yes.
that he doesn't just believe something that has turned out not to be true, but he's a diehard supporter of his own sort of religious beliefs about
Yes.
climate change. You say that he knew what he was doing and he knew this was how he was going to make money. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, Al Gore. Now, first of all of us want to go out to our best interest. The difference with Al Gore is he had a compliant media that allowed him to do this without any criticism. When Al Gore showed up at the U.S. Capitol in 2007, 2009, and lobbied for climate bills at the time, the media never portrayed it for what he was. And what he was, very simply, was a man, self-interested lobbyist seeking to enrich himself at the government taxpayer expense. And he actually set up a whole bunch of different organizations founded by him or with him on the board. And then those groups he set up disproportionately benefited from the Obama energy stimulus bills. And Al Gore was set to be the world's first carbon billionaire if the climate bill had passed and we had set up all these climate carbon trading schemes. And in the book, I cite the Washington Post investigation into this that a lot of people didn't even see at the time. And I go into detail about how Al Gore sat on the boards of all these companies that were about to become very wealthy if the climate bill passed and did become a little bit less wealthy with the stimulus package that came in.
Right, so and that part's fascinating to me, and I guess I want to dig into it a little bit. So the idea that he would become a carbon billionaire if this climate change bill passed, that would essentially be our money that would be making him a billionaire,
Yes.
right?
Yes, there was a lot of talk when Ross Perot ran for president in 1992. A lot of people say he's a government billionaire because he made all his money off computer contracts with the government. Well, at least Ross Perot was providing a service. What Al Gore was providing was essentially a bunch of companies that were going to be steering policy, allegedly investing in different technologies, and many of these technologies failed from the original Obama stimulus package. But yes, Al Gore was set to make all this money. Now, he ended up not getting the climate bill through, but he ended up selling his television network, Current TV, to the oil-rich Arab Emirates in Saudi Arabia of Al Jazeera. We could joke in the book it's called Al Gore Jazeera. He sold this network for hundreds of millions of dollars. And this network that Al Gore had wasn't even accepting fossil fuel money. So the former employees of Al Gore's TV network that he sold to the oil interests in Saudi Arabia were livid. And I quote them in the book attacking Al Gore, talking about what a hypocrite he is. Here's a man who wouldn't take the advertising, but he sold his network to Al Jazeera for hundreds of millions of dollars. So he went from the $1 to $2 million net worth to $100 million net worth about 10 years ago. And now we can only speculate. I have Warren Buffett's top advisor, Charlie Munger, in the book actually talk about Al Gore being an idiot, but he somehow made hundreds of millions of dollars off the market with all of these investments. And the answer is simple, and I reveal it in the book. He was well connected. It was perfectly timed with the Obama administration, tens of billions of dollars of stimulus. Al Gore was there ready to soak up all that money and become essentially a multi-hundred, I guess, what do you call him, hundreds of millionaire. He was a quarter billionaire or a half a billionaire by the end of all this with the sale of Al Jazeera.
Right, it's like your friendly yearly reminder that Al Gore is nothing more than a neighborhood snake oil salesman. Mark, it's fascinating to read all of this in your book. I wish you the best of luck. I encourage our viewers to go read this. It's really good. Thanks for being on the show.